Okay. Now I'm officially recording. Should we get started?
Wow, nice one. Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes of audio on the start of this because I was too lazy to stop the recording on my laptop and then start it again. So I just left it. I'm like, oh, sorry, I just cut the first 5 minutes on.
Lazy
So
shit.
I think we should include this. This is our official start.
Yes, our official start after 10 minutes of audio troubles.
After 10 minutes of trying to get this whole working from home lark to actually function, it's not working. It's not working from home. That's
The one time we actually need it, it's not working.
I know. I'm not being funny though. That's life. That's that's what I'm expecting. Like right now, I'm sat in my garage, like just to get somewhere quiet to record this with you. And normally you'll go outside into my garden, you won't hear anything. The second I sat down in this garage to do record audio, somebody's outside on the gravel driveway. I can hear cars pulling up. I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything from my end. There might be trains going past mine. I apologise for that in advance.
It's good as ambient sound. That's fine. Just makes us sound a bit more metropolitan.
Yeah, our teacher will be proud.
I can hear an aeroplane above mine.
Perfect. Great. It sounds like we're actually in a productive area.
Yeah. So are we doing an official welcome to the Angels podcast?
Yeah,
right now?
So welcome back to Angels podcast. I'm very sorry for the year's delay. Yeah, every time we wanted to film, there would be some sort of issue, we'd be too busy or the technology just wouldn't work. We sat down and the technology just wasn't working at all. And then COVID happened.
Silence. That's it. COVID happened. Mic drop. We're forgiven now. It's completely acceptable.
Yeah. Blame it on COVID.
Went off grid for a year. But I think it's good. It's given us time to really think about what we want to talk about. It's given us a lot that we have now to talk about. We've got a bank of topics, a bank of stuff, and we talked about it just beforehand that we're gonna start. We're gonna return with an overview of what's happened.
What's happened the past? How many months has it been?
Oh my god! I think the last time we uploaded was November 2019.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's something.
And a lot has happened since the start of lockdown till now.
Yeah, a lot has happened. A lot is happening today.
Yeah. Wait, what's happening today? I don't know. What's happening, Shan?
What do you mean? So today is it the 4th now? The 4th of November. 5th? No.
4th, babe. My calendar's right there.
It's been a long day, and I don't even know. Everything's merged into each other. It could still be mid-October. I would be none the wiser. But anyway, today in the world of politics, it's all popping off. So across the pond in America, that one. It's the presidential election between Joe Biden and the what's it. So it's interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So currently Joe Biden's in the lead
with 224 to 213.
But we know how this thing goes. We know that it can change. I don't want to get my hopes up because we did that in 2016 and then we got burnt for it. So I don't, I'm not putting myself in a position where I'm going to be crying when it all happens. Plus, it's going to take so long for the results to come out because obviously due to coronavirus, a lot of people voted by post. So those haven't been counted in because a lot of that's done by hand. It could take days. It could be next week before we know who the next president is. And obviously, sorry, my laptop.
Thank you.
That's very, very rude. And then whatever I was saying. Oh, Donald Trump said that he's,
it's rigged.
He is just crazy.
If it is rigged and he wins, we'll be like, well, you said it's rigged, so you must know something. So obviously you didn't win. Biden won instead, didn't it?
Exactly. It's like he's covering his bases. He's like, if I win,
it's fine.
Lol. If I lose,
it's rigged.
Yeah.
But I have no idea how the US voting system works. Shannon, do you want to just do a quick explainer? Because obviously it looks very simple, but it's not. Because it looks like the Reds have taken over, but it's a lot more than that. So do you want to explain? Because I hate politics.
I also hate politics, mostly because it's depressing. So I am not an American politics expert. I just casually
your shit.
Watch it. I know nothing. So basically, the big problem with voting for a president is that it works by a college electorate. You can get the stats up on how many votes there are in the college electorate. I would say 355, but I could have made that up. So don't quote me on that. I think I'm confusing it with the number of MPs in the House of whatever. So anyway, my point is, every state in the US is worth a certain number of college electorate votes. So like Texas, I think is 38 and California is 55, but then you get somewhere like Nevada or whatever and it's like 4, and those might not be accurate, but I'm giving it's an example. It's slightly hyperbolic maybe, but that's why you're listening. You're not listening because you want exact facts, because this is not a news show like that. This is 2 women sipping tea and chatting. So anyway, so like if 50,000 people vote in Texas for a Republican and all of the rest are Democrats, then the Democrats will get it, and the Democrat dude gets 55 college electorate votes.
Fun.
So the opposition would then have to win like several small states just to equal the winning of Texas. So that's why these states are like considered more important, because they're like worth more, you know? Whereas in the UK, every constituency is 1 MP. It's not like that in America. And that's why, like, in 2016, Hillary Clinton had more votes for her, but Trump got more of the college electorate because he had more votes in states that were worth more college electorate votes.
Twats.
It's a bit flawed, but, like, man, everything's flawed. And our system isn't perfect, so we can't really say anything. But, yeah. So Trump is saying that he will contest the outcome, which hasn't happened. He's tried to push for it to be illegal to count votes after yesterday when voting ended, which is dumb, because he's trying to get the postal votes thrown out, because statistically it's more likely that the postal votes will be Democrat, and obviously he so it's all just a bit of a mess, but nobody really knows what's happening. And I tried to stay up last night to listen to it, and honestly, I fell asleep with LBC playing and Sheila Fogarty saying we're not really any closer to knowing anything. And I woke up today and sat for a bit with James O'Brien, and then Sheila Fogarty came back on and said, yeah, still no news. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I woke up and Mum's like, Biden's winning, and I'm like, Biden's winning?
Are you surprised?
I honestly don't know, because the fact that the country voted for Trump, the fact that he won, I don't know what to believe in anymore.
You lost total faith.
Yeah.
In American voting.
I've lost total faith. But what does it mean for the country if Trump wins?
For America or for us?
I think just life in general, isn't it?
Life in general. I mean, I don't really know what it means for America other than complete and utter social unrest. Just absolutely. I can't see it being good for race relations. I can't see it being good for minority groups in general, the LGBTQIA+ community, for anybody who's interested.
Joe Biden 238 to 213 now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Ew.
So,
wow, I wonder what political party we support, Jan.
Well, the thing is, it's not about political parties. It's, do you want a racist in charge of a country or do you not?
A racist, a rapist, a homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic.
Exactly. So, identity politics, some people don't agree with them, but it doesn't even come down to identity politics in this. It's one person is morally reprehensible and the other person has the go-ahead from Barack Obama. Now, I know who I would vote for.
I mean, Obama does endorse Biden. I think he gave Biden a type of award or something. And I hope Biden will kind of I don't think he can fully reverse everything that Trump's done, but maybe make it better. Like, bring back Obamacare, but he's calling it Biden care now. And maybe get back into that Paris Agreement, maybe help fix the climate.
Yeah, well, there's definite... so basically, one of the biggest things that Donald Trump did while he was president, I'm talking about it in the past tense because I really hope it will be.
It was. No, but if he does win, it's just 4 more years and then we'll never have to see him again.
Well, I wouldn't take that for granted either.
We think he might put a Nazi.
He put a lot into the coal industry, so he made America self-sufficient for energy, but all of the energy is fracking and coal, which is obviously really bad for the
And there's no
environment.
money
But
in
it's
that business anyway. There's no money in
well,
there.
it's not about there being money in it. It's about the fact that he's given American jobs to American people, and he's meant that Americans don't have to rely on other countries for their energy, which is massive. The only issue with it is that the energy is bad. It's really bad for the environment, you know?
He's a businessman at the end of the day.
The
He
world.
doesn't believe that climate change is a thing. He thinks that it's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of what he has to tell
No, but
himself.
he
to be
said
able to
that,
do things like
Trump
that.
said that mining and coaling and all that jazz helps the economy. But there's actually no jobs in there to actually help the economy. It's just there.
Well, he's created the jobs because he's brought the industry back to America, which obviously that's fine. But what we're hoping, if we magical we, what the hope is if Biden gets in, is that he will keep America self-sufficient for energy, but instead of relying on coal mining and fracking, we'll turn to renewable sources like solar panels. Yes, the solar panels are made in China. I'm sort of in the mindset to say, get over it, you know, solar is better. But here's where we come in. We are one of the leading countries in renewable energy.
Are we?
We've got a big stick up our ass about it. Oh, yeah, we're doing well on that front. Us and France and a couple others. And the hope is, they were speaking about it this morning in the news, is that if Biden gets in, this might be Boris's opportunity to snoop in and be like, hey, Biden, I hear you want self-sufficient
Here we
energy.
go.
I hear you want to be more renewable. I know a chap that can help you with that. I know a country, English-speaking, that might be able to give you a hand with that. So it's good for us and it's better for the environment. So that's the hope. That's part of the reason that a lot of like the commentators in the UK are like, oh, if Biden gets in, that's better for us, you know?
Well, I think we kind of do need the help, don't we?
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of British politics, a big thing is happening today, and it will link very nicely into the pandemic that we find ourselves in the midst of. So today, in the House of Commons, they are debating the next lockdown, which is scheduled to begin tomorrow.
For the love of God.
I know, it's going to happen, because obviously
of course it's going to happen. Corona's back up. Eat to Help Out ruined it. We were doing so well in August, yeah. It went down. We were living the best glory days of our life, yeah. And then it's gone back up. We were doing so well, Boris.
Yeah, although I gotta say, I did enjoy Eat Out to Help Out while it lasted.
I had Chinese on Eat Out to Help Out. It was great. But it did not help. But it did not help anyone at all, now, did it? COVID cases are going up.
Well, I would say that it's not necessarily Out to Help Out that did that. I'd say a big part is sending people back to uni.
Yeah.
Reopening of the schools, I think.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. People want to keep schools closed and universities closed. But obviously, a lot of clinicians have kids. And, you know, they can't leave their kids home alone. So they have to send them to school so they will be safe with the teachers. So it's just like a big, like, debate on what should we do.
Yeah, I would say that the whole thing about what they are is key workers, and so the debate about what's going to happen to their kids if we close schools is a little bit redundant, because in the first wave schools were closed, but my mum's a teacher, they kept the schools open for the
little kids,
key workers and for vulnerable children, so children that didn't have laptops, or there was like an abuse, or really like they were struggling at home, there were real issues at home, could go to school. And kids whose parents were fellow teachers, doctors, nurses, paramedics, etc., they could also go to school. So that was catered for. So I believe if they did close schools for the majority,
they would keep it open for them.
March, yeah, they would keep it open the same way they did last time. I don't see them not doing that. I don't see them being able to not. So, I mean, as somebody, my mum is a teacher, my sister might be starting a teaching assistant job in the same school, so they'll go in the middle. Yeah, hopefully. I think that maybe for the mental health of the kids, obviously schools being open is ideal.
Yeah.
But when you think about the staff in these schools, how many teachers do you know that are over 50 and not necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily in the best health? I don't remember my teachers being all really young and fit, like that they, if they caught this from a kid, I don't feel like they would be able to fight it off. Like if I think about the teachers that I had personally, like they were all older. you know?
I think my teachers were all middle-aged.
Nice for some. I think the youngest teacher I had was 38, and she was my biology teacher, and it was like, she stood out because she was a lot younger than everybody else. I cannot see my old physics teacher like being able to fight off coronavirus. I would hope that they would keep him home, you know? Even like back at primary school, my teachers were, aging. Sorry
I
guys.
know, my teachers are fairly young. A lot of them are like new into teaching.
Okay. Oh, we've had very different experiences.
Alright, speaking of schools, I think we should talk about the whole free school meal fiasco that happened a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. What are your ops on that?
I think it's stupid. I think as someone who, well, I used to have free schools when I was a kid, but before it was like everyone had free school meal.
Yeah.
And I think it was very helpful for a lot of students who obviously they went to school just so they can eat, and now they're getting rid of that. So what are students going to do now? How are they going to pay for lunch? How are they going to pay to eat when, their income isn't that high in their household?
Yeah. I mean, the issue with free school meals isn't that they're abolishing them in their entirety, because, I mean, that would be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But what is almost as disgusting is there was a request put in by, I believe it's a Labour minister, and by, what's the footballer's name?
Mr. Ozil. Oh.
Rutherford? Mark Rutherford, I think. Are you gonna check me? Fact with me. Mark Rushford.
Rushford.
There we go. Yeah, so he's a footballer. He asked for free school meals to be extended to the holidays, because obviously, especially with the pandemic and everything, especially with the pandemic, it's just like a lot of parents are struggling and are on, like, they're in poverty now. They're below the breadline. They can't afford to feed their kids. Not necessarily through fault of their own, but even if it is, why should the kids be punished?
Yeah.
Why can't we extend it and
give aid and all that?
It's so dumb. Yeah, it's so dumb. Especially if you want to talk about we don't have any money. Like,
yes, you do.
Like, it's so dumb. You absolutely do.
If you move around the money, if you stop paying for the Parliament's fancy breakfast, you can pay for a lot of things. You can pay for a lot. If you gave back, if you sold a lot of the art that you have hiding in your cupboard, if you gave back a lot of the stolen art that you gave to the countries, you'll be able to maybe end world hunger in the UK.
World hunger in the UK.
And national hunger in the UK.
It's been a long day, sis. It's been a long day.
I remember saying that the amount of food that I believe the US waste could be enough to stop hunger in a lot of countries.
I believe that.
100%.
Yeah. A lot of us are, like, a lot of the countries, especially, like, Western culture, wasteful. Like, it's synonymous. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, MPs. So we're giving MPs a pay rise. It's like £3,000 per MP. Bearing in mind, I think there's 655 or 600 and something MPs. All of those get £3,000 extra. And let's not forget the £9 billion we wasted on a faulty track and trace.
Oh my god, I didn't download it. I saw the reviews, which got like 3.8 stars.
Wow, that's generous.
Wait, let me check how many stars it's got now. But it was. Yeah, a lot of money got put into a system that did not work. That money could have gone to, I don't know, help the vulnerable.
Yeah. It could have gone to the betterment of the NHS. It could have gone to supporting low-income families. It could have gone to extending free school meals to the holidays when children need it. Because they can't get it at school because school is closed for the holidays. Especially in a time like this.
Yeah. Well, I've seen NHS COVID-19 and that's got 4.1 stars.
Well, that's the thing. There's like 15 apps and they've all got very similar names. And everyone's like, I don't even know if I got the right one.
Yeah, 3.7, 4.4. Either way, it didn't work and I did it. If it did work, we'd all be using it.
I mean, I have it, but it's just so dumb. Like, it's good for the check-ins, or it was good for the check-ins, but as of tomorrow, we can't check in anywhere anyway because we got to stay home again. So what's the point in that? And everything else, it relies on you inputting the data yourself.
Does it? I never used
Yeah,
it.
you've got to say if you're symptomatic. You've got to say if you've had a test. You've got to say this. You've got to say that. And a lot of people wouldn't necessarily do it. Like, there was a truck driver that phoned in on the radio today, and it was because I listen to LBC a lot. It's basically
Yeah,
what I
you're
live on,
obsessed.
and I am an absolute fan. And they would talk. They were having a phone in about whether you agree or not with the second lockdown. And this truck driver called in and was like, it's sort of messed up because people we will need a lockdown because people won't follow the rules. Now, if I was told that I had to self isolate, actually no, I'm getting this wrong. The truck driver was in Liverpool, and Liverpool have just been given um, the ability to test everybody in Liverpool. They're like the trial group.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, even if you're asymptomatic, and this truck driver is saying, why would you test yourself if you're asymptomatic? Because then you couldn't work. If you didn't have any symptoms and then you thought, I'll take a test anyway, and then that test comes back positive, bearing in mind there are quite a few false positives as well, but that's like a separate issue, and it came back positive, and suddenly this truck driver can't work. And there's a lot of people that can't afford not to work, and yeah, there is like job retention schemes and support, but like the money you get from, I can't remember which scheme it is, we'll have to fact check
Winter
this as
economy
well.
plan.
It's like, I don't know, it's like the money you get if you are self-isolating is like £95 a week. And I think that's like statutory sick pay is £95 a week. And then, but there's like a separate government thing, which if you're really, really low income, then the government will give you like £500. But like, none of that is really enough.
It's not. Even Sadiq Khan was saying, Mayor's Question Time, that the winter economy plan isn't enough because it's just paying 20% of your wage.
Yeah.
Like he said, if you're paying 20% of rent, food, all that kind of stuff, yeah, that could be helpful. But 20% in general is not going to help anything.
Yeah, because where are you going to get the other 80?
Yeah. It's mad.
It's genuinely ridiculous. I don't know. But I mean, as much as we'd like to think, well, if I could have a test, I'd take a test, so the community, it's all about looking after our fellow man. But if it really came down to it, if you were asymptomatic and you could take a test, but if you did happen to come back positive, then you couldn't work and you couldn't put food in your kids' mouths. I mean, realistically, would you do it? Or would you rather just be like, well, I'm asymptomatic, so I'm not going to test it because just in case, I'd rather just keep working.
Yeah, in France, they're doing 100% furlough scheme for people. Why can't we do that?
Because we've got a conservative government? I don't know.
I just don't get why a bunch of Tory ministers would say no to free school meal. I don't get it. Why would they vote no? What is their motive behind it? So they can get their own fancy breakfast?
Well, no, there's a couple of theories about it, and it is true that the taxpayer does comp all minister meals, but that's not just Tories, it's everybody. There's like a lot of threads that I've seen on Twitter and stuff, and it's like they've like retweeted the defence tweets from these ministers that voted against free school meals.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly who, but there's an Instagram account called 1 Million Hungry Children, and they've published the names, faces, and contact details for every single MP, Member of Parliament, that voted against extending free school meals. So if you are interested in like who it was and you want to tell them that you don't agree with their decision, because at the end of the day they represent us, then 1 Million Hungry Children on Instagram is the place to go. They've got like tips and they can show you like who your MP is if you don't know, as long as you can see their face, their constituencies written there, etc. But yeah, a lot of the people that were on this like Twitter thread that I saw were saying that they there was like a lot of it was based on like prejudice. Like, oh, we can't give like £15 to a family that can't support their family, like the parents if they're like drug addicts or drinking, and they'll just like go buy bags.
Excuses.
And it's like, it's so stereotypical for one. For two, it's like literally there's no reality that it's based in. And for three, Rishi Sunak came out and said, yo guys, you can't actually do that. We don't give them like a £15 like check they get vouchers, and the vouchers are very specific on what you can spend them on. You're not allowed, like, you physically cannot exchange food vouchers for alcohol and cigarettes. Like, you can't do it. So, nice try, bud, but that's an illegitimate reason to deny children food.
I mean, I did the exact same type of prejudice again in results day. Like, if you live in an area with that's, you know, like a lower income, if you're working class, you're not going to get the best grades just purely based on that.
Yeah, the government, or the ministers, the members of parliament right now are very set in, like, class biases. There's a lot of classism going on in our system, and I think that's sort of like
trash.
It's exacerbated. It is trash. It's also highlighted by the pandemic and the way it's hit. It's funny that when places in the north, the northeast, the northwest, even down to the Midlands, were coming down with coronavirus, it was a regional lockdown system and it was a tiered system. And then all of a sudden, when places like London started to go down, it was, oh, actually, maybe we should just nationally lock down.
For Queen and for country.
Exactly. It's like there wasn't the financial support for the North when the North were going into regional and tiered lockdowns, like tier 3, like, no, you can't leave Leicester, like, no, you can't leave Manchester, to the point that the mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, was like fighting, like, no, we need that financial support, like, you need to look after the North, you can't just ignore us now, especially when, like, a lot of the North lent the Tories their vote in the first place to get Boris Johnson into power. Separate story. It's ridiculous. I mean, obviously I got, like, a lot of opinions on this because I'm just like, it's bad, but, like, there wasn't any financial support for the North, and, like, a lot of mayors in the North had to, like, fight tooth and nail, and even then they didn't get what they asked for. And then as soon as the South went down, or parts of the Southeast were struggling and their cases were going up, it was,
that's where Bojo lives.
Lockdowns, here's financial support.
Yes,
like,
the capital.
Rishi's out there with a full briefcase, here's what's going to happen. It's dumb and it's annoying.
Yeah. Alright,
Can we talk about... Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we move on from politics now?
Oh, nice one. I mean, this is low-key politics, but it's kind of not politics. But I'm going to say it anyway.
It's politics with our opinion in it.
Yeah. So, I have a question. Why do we call Boris Johnson Boris? Well, we never called David Cameron David.
Wait, it's because David is David Johnson, like... I think it's to do with, like... What is it like when you... What sounds better to say?
It's like I call... in the news. Even in the news.
It's like when I call you... It's like when I call you Shannon. I say Shan, because it's easier to say. Boris doesn't deserve that respect to call him by his last name.
Is it respectful though? Because it's like Cameron, May, Boris. Like, I have never heard any news organisation refer to him solely as Johnson.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I've heard them say...
I think because there aren't a lot of famous Borises out there, so when you talk about Boris, you're going to know which Boris it is. Are you not?
There aren't that many Theresas. It seems so weird and so informal if it's like, and David said this, and Theresa said this, and Tony said this. But when it's like, and Boris said this, it's like, oh, the Prime Minister. It's so weird. Like, and I was just thinking about it, I was like, that's mental.
I never noticed that. You can use that for your dissertation, mate.
Yeah. So where did you want to go now with that topical discussion? Do you want to talk mental health and lockdown? Do you want to talk women's rights? Do you want to talk the ban on abortion in Poland? I mean,
I would say let's go even extra and talk about the Black Lives Matter movement that happened.
Oh, just like in general?
Yeah.
We'll set the tone then. Set the tone, sis.
Okay, so obviously George Floyd was unnecessarily murdered by was it Derek Chauvin? And that caused a massive uproar with everyone from your neighbour to celebrities talking about Black Lives Matter. And then you get the rise of people going, all lives matter. And then you see companies and, you know, trying to be a bit more equal by, you know, saying that they are for Black Lives Matter movement. Then you get celebrities being outed for being low-key racist in the past, and I think this is definitely a different movement. Like, obviously, Black Lives Movement has happened, unfortunately, so much. I think nearly every few years something happens. But I feel like now it's gone. It's gone like higher than it's ever been, in my opinion.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely like picked up. It's picked up media attention in a way that it never has before, and
I
that's
think it was
probably
because of the video.
yeah.
Because the video is it's graphic. Like, you can see what's happening, and you can't
Mm.
not ignore that compared to like, I don't know what other videos have happened in the past, but you could hear him begging for his life. It was more graphic.
Yeah, although it's sort of like it's disheartening and I'd say a bit repulsive actually that the vast majority of people it takes literally seeing somebody murdered on film for you to feel not you but like for that group of people
People.
to feel something,
Yeah.
to feel like they have to take it seriously. And obviously like that's embedded in privilege. Like I'm a white person, like I understand that I've got the privilege of switching off. You know, I don't have to think
Yeah.
about my race every single time I walk out the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, am I going to get treated differently? Do I need to consider the way that I would behave because somebody might react differently because of the way that I look? Like, there's so much that like we like white people take for granted. Obviously, it's white privilege. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not right, but like it's there, and we need to do more to take it down. And I think the fact that white people in particular could just say, "Oh, racism is bad," but not do anything about it, not educate, not work for
Or
abolition
not
of
learn themselves.
oppressive. Yeah, the fact that we could just switch off from it all, and there wasn't like that guilt, or there wasn't like a sense of social injustice in the fact that white people could turn off up until this, I would say, this round of the Black Lives Matter movement. And obviously, it's disgusting that it's taken any time at all because it should just be innate. Like, but it wasn't.
Yeah. I know, but like even Biden, he elected a. Is she mixed or is she African? I'm not sure. Is it Kamala Harris?
Oh yeah, Harris.
I think she's the first African American. I believe she's American.
Well, she's the first female vice president if she gets it, isn't she?
The first.
I don't think has there been a female vice president before?
There has to have been.
They've not had a female president.
Oh no, they haven't. There has been one female majority party presidential nominee, Democrat Hillary Clinton. There have been 3 female major party vice president nominees. Really?
They've never.
Why? Oh, that's odd.
Because America, well.
Oh wait, no, Geraldine Ferraro. Oh, she was a nominee.
Yeah, I don't think there's been one that's got it. Did you get her background or?
No, Geraldine Ann Ferraro was the first female vice presidential nominee representing a major American political party.
You get the background on Harris.
Oh, Kamala. Let's see. Her grandfather, retired Indian civil servant. Harris has also visited farmers' family in Jamaica. I can't find her ethnicity anywhere. But her name is Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala is, I believe, a Indian name.
Well, you said her dad or something was Indian civil service, so that implies Indian.
South Asian American. The first... wait. She is the first woman, the first African American, and the first South Asian American woman to hold the office of Attorney General in the state's history.
So there you are, the first vice president of the
She's
United.
Indian. I
The
thought so.
first female one could be a South Asian American.
Fun.
That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing. But I do find it a bit like remember we were having this conversation about being hired purely because you're Asian or just because you're black to tick the gap.
Yeah.
And it's like I just find it a bit.
Sorry, are we going to put this video on?
I'm not recording the video.
No, okay. Oh, of course, yeah. Do you want to give your background before you give your view?
Oh, I am British Pakistani. If you want to know.
Just because I don't know. I mean, I caveated mine with I'm white, by the way. So.
Well, my name is Anam Alam. If you don't think I'm Pakistani to be that name, or at least being Bangladeshi. So anyway, we were having a conversation. Was it last week?
I think it must have been. It's been a while.
Yeah, it was about being hired because you're Asian and black, just to tick the gap. And we were talking about interviewing people and having to be more diverse, even though if you happen to find a white person to interview rather than a black person or an Asian person, you don't purposely sort out white people. Just when it comes to interview, I just sort out the first person that I see that will fit my interview. And I think when Biden hired Kamala Harris, I can't help but thinking, do you hire her because she is talented at what she does, or is it just for the extra step that she's not white?
I don't know. If she is perfectly qualified for the position, I mean, does it matter significantly? Is it like a game changer, or greatly affect your opinion of Biden and the Democrats if what had separated her from, an equally qualified white potential candidate?
No, because it was trending on Twitter that she is South Asian African. That was trending. She will be the first vice president to do that. That.
Although she would be unique in her vice presidency anyway, because she's the first female, full stop.
Yeah. I know, just a bit thing, if I don't get hired because I'm Asian, I'd much rather not work for a company that don't like Asians, and I don't want to get hired for a company just because I am Asian. I want to get hired for me. That's why we were talking about blind interviews as well. But that will be complicated in its own.
Yeah, you'd have to take, like you said, my name's Adam Hollow. People don't understand my race from that. And what are you doing? You'd have to completely blank out a lot.
Interview A, interview B, interview C.
Yeah.
And how would you do interviews?
I think they do it in for certain jobs and certain things. I think some they they cover the name on the interviewee or something. I don't know.
I remember in employability we were talking about photos and how you shouldn't put a photo on the CV because it might bring up some internalized prejudice that the employer might not realise. Yeah, I mean, how would you do interview? Would you because obviously we both sound incredibly British. What if someone has an accent or something? What would you do then?
Well, accents in this country are so complicated, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because even if you had a Manc accent, do you know
what
what I mean?
accent?
You might not get hired. A Mancunian, Manchester.
Oh.
Even if you had a northern accent, you might not get hired over somebody with a southern accent because they think that indicates your intelligence or your competency level. Imagine somebody with a Polish accent versus somebody with, I don't know, a German accent. I mean, they're quite similar. That was an awful example. Like a French accent. The connotations, it might not always be, obviously any stereotype, not cute.
Mm-hmm.
But It's like if somebody was going for a computer job or a job in computing and they had a Chinese accent, would they be more likely to get hired
Because of
than
that
somebody
stereotype.
for the same job with like a Liverpool accent? Who do you think would be more likely to get
Or
the
if they
job?
had an Indian accent as well.
Exactly. So it's so complicated. Like the relationship with particularly this country and accents is so different because there's obviously there's racism and there's xenophobia in the treatment of people because of their accent, and there's also classism in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's mental.
And there's also, when the Black
So,
Lives Matter movement was happening, it was Jackie Ina's fiance. He put up like a list of what you should do, and he said hire more black people, put more black people in higher positions. And it's like, well, a company should just hire a bunch of black people just because they're black and not because of their actual qualification.
well, no, I think I would hope that what he meant by that is that if you've got the choice between a white candidate and a black candidate and they're both equally qualified, pluck for the black one if you've not got enough. Do you know what I mean? If you're obviously underrepresenting people, particularly in positions of power, you know?
Yeah, there are a lot of people in
If
the
you've got the
comments saying,
choice.
can you please reword that first point that you said? There are a lot of people in the comments saying, can you please reword what you just said?
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of people are like, look, don't. I mean, the way that you word things is quite important because it's like if you reword it the wrong way, then you get people that like say, like you just said, like I don't want my ethnicity, my race, my background, my heritage to be the only reason I get hired. Otherwise, what's the point in me studying? What's the point in me being gifted at this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's my value as an individual if you're only seeing my race? And I think that works for if you do get hired or if you don't get hired, don't just look at me because of my background.
Mm-hmm.
Look at like me as an individual person. And I think that's regardless of your race, where the hiring process needs to improve. It needs to look at candidates more as all round people.
Yeah.
You know?
There has to be a way. Same with like interviews, maybe like, I don't know, digitized voice or whatever. But when it comes to CVs and cover letters, surely you should hide their name where they're from, maybe. If you live in London, you're going to be seen as more posh and intelligent compared to someone from somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
I think they're hoping too much.
Huh?
I think they're hoping too much. I think somewhere in the near world, maybe things will improve. Maybe we'll get rid of the scum that are racist.
Yeah, Biden in, and we vote the Tories out at the next election for us. And
I do think COVID has. I think COVID has pissed off a lot. I think COVID has really shown what political parties are all about, and I think a lot of people are pissed at the Tories. So that might change. That might be a game changer.
People don't like the Tories anyway. The problem is that people voted for the Tories to get us through Brexit. They didn't foresee a national well-being crisis or a global
pandemic
crisis. Yeah, if people knew that the biggest issue for them would be their welfare and their physical and mental and emotional and financial health, I don't think they would have voted Tory. I think they'd have gone, actually, let's go for Labour because they believe in the welfare state and I might be needing that. Like, do you know?
Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020. So I think that's a lot of it is regret, especially from the north that led their vote to Tories and like, crap, maybe we shouldn't have done that. I regret that now. You know?
Yeah, but I wonder what happened for Labour now. I think let's see what happens. When is the next election?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a long time.
We've had like 10 elections.
We've had so many.
Next UK election. That's Australia. I don't care about Australia. Next UK election date. 2024?
Did we really have one this year?
Yeah, we had it in 2019 in December.
Huh?
We had it in 2019.
December, yeah.
That was when the Tories won.
Wow. What a time it is. It feels like so long.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been so long. I blame lockdowns for that. Just like this pandemic in general. Like, mate, it's brutal.
How
It's brutal
has
as
the
heck.
pandemic been for you mentally and actually?
You know, I was just gonna ask you that. That's actually insane. I was like,
This
oh,
is
you
why
know,
I chose you
oh,
to be
Bridget's
my
love her.
host.
You beat me to it. It has been testing. It's been trying. Obviously, I started my lockdown while I was still in London for university alongside yourself. And I did 2.5 months on my own in a studio flat in Wembley, which was interesting. It was a test to how much isolation I could take without actually going insane. But I think it was alright. I was pretty good at preoccupying myself. It was when I came back home because obviously I thought like, oh, you know, I need to take a break from this. I could save some money if I go back home. Like I can't do anything in London anyway, so there's no point in being there. When I came home, it was really testing because obviously my education had stopped, so I lost my distraction. You know, I lost all my routines, and then I was having to deal with living with my family again, which was really difficult because I'd adjusted last 2 years to living on my own.
Yeah.
To now being back, you know, with my mum's rules and living with my sister, who's practically the same age as me, so an adult in her own right. It was a lot to take on. You know, having to get in with their schedules and stuff. So I'm particularly apprehensive as we go into the next lockdown tomorrow because I will be locking down with my mother and sister from the start. And they say it's only a month, but that's because legally the lockdowns have to be reviewed every 28 days, which is why it's December 2nd/3rd. But it could go on for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference being now we've got uni still and it's all online, so I've got my routine, we've got our schedules and stuff, but we've also got an increased workload, so increased stress. And you know, just being at home, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but like that's it. That's how it's been for me. So I throw that question back to you.
And I've got it. I was okay during lockdown. I think compared to a lot of people, I was fine. I was already living at home. I live with my parents and I live with my two sisters. Nothing, it wasn't like a major change. I was just in my home, like how I always have been. And I think there were times when I needed to hear like different voices. So I would always call you, Shannon. I'd be like, Shannon, we need to talk right now. And mentally, I was fine. I'm always at home. I don't really socialize anyway. So I didn't really feel any different. I think the movement to online was just kind of like, bleh. Because the teachers had no idea what they were doing, and I had no idea what I was doing. So it was just kind of a bit annoying in that sense. Because, I made the plan, go uni, get the good grades, happy birthday. Then that all just went tits up when we went online and everything was just like, I hate adapting to new situations, and having to adapt online sucked. Adapting when we were starting uni in September, it was a bit like meh. I think I kind of delayed the start of the podcast because I was just so stressed and so irritated about the adaptation. But I'm okay now. Yeah, but overall, lockdown was fine. I was with my family for the entire duration. I still am with my family for the entire duration. Which I don't mind. And yeah, I'm fine now when it comes to uni.
I think we have to appreciate that we are uniquely lucky in that we don't have to worry about our financial situation as a result of lockdown in the way that a lot of people do now. Because that seems to be like the biggest thing for a lot of people.
Both of my parents were working during lockdown.
There you go. As were mine. My parents aren't together, but my dad works in care, so obviously he doesn't not go to work, because if he doesn't go to work, people aren't getting looked after. And like I said, my mum's a teacher, and schools in some capacity have stayed open. And even when the physical school wasn't, she was working remotely. So the money was still there. We didn't have to worry about food or the house.
My sister got 100% furlough from her work.
That is really
80% government, 20% her company.
That's so nice.
And I was freelancing throughout the entire lockdown, so I was earning money as well.
Same. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
We love that.
So yeah, we are definitely, alhamdulillah, very lucky in that sense.
Yeah, and we've got the support networks as well. Like we said, we both had our family around us, and it was easy for you because in the sense that you were used to living with them, so you just saw them a bit more.
Yeah.
And even me, even though it was difficult adapting to being back with them, we're very fortunate that we aren't just on our own all the time. And if we need to talk to somebody, there are several people living in the same, vicinity that can lend us an ear, And I do feel like my heart goes out to these people that are on their own. I know we can support Bubble now, which is good, but even then, it's just that coming back and being on your own and just dealing with your own thoughts and stuff and not having the distractions of other people's insanity.
There's only so much TV that you can watch. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah. But, we'll be hopeful going into this next lockdown and just and hope that, in particular, it is only until the start of December, even though a lot of people don't believe that it will be. I don't know if I believe it will only be 28 days, but we've got to hope.
I think the more it's extended, the least likely Corona will come back.
Okay. Well, they say that the lockdown doesn't kill coronavirus. It doesn't stop it. All it does is pause it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how long we lock down for, in the sense that, we can't lock down for 3 months and then suddenly coronavirus has evaporated. That's not how it works. But if we lock down for a month and they can sort the track and trace out, they can sort out testing.
Yeah, that's how they sort out tracing. The less people can actually catch corona if they stay at home, self-isolated, and the people who have symptoms can go get tested.
Yeah. So lockdown is working as a pause button on the virus. It's like, hold up, let's catch up. That's what this is supposed to operate as.
I think that would be so beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. But we do have to bear in mind people's mental health, financial stability, how things are working from a socioeconomic point of view, and it's going to be rough for a lot of people.
I know a lot of companies have shut down shops. Apparently, a lot of people have stopped production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even my sister, she's going for this teaching job, like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, in part because she was a bartender. I say was because yesterday was her last shift because they're closing. Management's changing, and new management won't come in until Christmas. Her current owners have gone, and I don't even think that they're furloughing. I think they've just gotten rid of people. Because it's hospitality. They can't afford it. They barely survived the first lockdown, and now we've got another one, and they hadn't even recovered from that. There is no money, there is no savings, and the government support isn't
working
enough.
Yeah.
So a lot of redundancies on the horizon in the run up to Christmas. So it's going to be a pretty dead Christmas for those of us that celebrate it.
Yeah, you told me Christmas was dead for you.
Oh yeah, it's gone. I've given up. I'm just accepting that I'm probably just going to get fat. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be cheesy movies and every single Christmas related food item I can find. Perfect.
What more do you need?
Exactly. It's going to be cinnamon swirls and gallons of Baileys.
Yeah, we celebrated Eid in August with the family. So before, when stuff was getting better in August, we might have celebrated then. The first Eid was just pure lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, we did dress up just to look fancy.
Yeah, I think I saw the pictures.
And our aunt gave us food, which was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Eid was just isolated. Second Eid was great. We did the secret Eid. It's a Secret Santa but Eid version.
Love that.
I'm glad I didn't send you any videos. I think you sent you the videos.
Nice one. Yeah. It sucks though. Not what you're saying. I'm jumping back a point now. It sucks the situation we're in, but it's where we are. And I don't know if you wanted to round off relatively soon.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've caught up on everything that's happened in the past months or so.
Yeah, and we've got to do another one of these next week, so we'll talk about absolutely everything. We've got nothing to start with tomorrow, next week.
Yeah, but I think we've done a pretty much good roundup of everything, almost everything. There's so much more that we need to talk about.
Yeah, we've covered enough for one episode.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay, guys. Sorry for the 3 people who listened to our first podcast.
Sorry for the wait. But we will get this up. We don't know if we check the platforms. We need to check the platforms we're going to put it up on.
Wait, I asked the person about the login and password. I want to change the logo. The logo just looks very cheesy now. Looking like I've matured since then.
I'm glad you're there. Anyway, I've got over an hour of audio on my laptop right now. So.
Do we? I have
Yeah.
54 minutes.
Yeah, I kept recording from the initial start where we were battling Zoom. So, do you want to do? Should we do like a round off and then end the recordings?
Yeah.
Plus, I need a wee. Not that that should influence your decision, but I actually need to pee very
Yeah, I'm
much.
very thirsty myself.
Oh, there we go. So, thank you everyone for listening, I guess, and we
Yeah.
will have something up next week as well.
Next week or the week after or next year. Should we make the yearly thing instead?
Oh no, we'll be better. We'll do better this time. We'll do better. We'll do better. So, yeah, I'm Shannon.
I'm Annan.
And that's it. That's it for today.
This is Angel's podcast. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, talk to you again soon. If you haven't.
All right, bye.